Dear students, welcome back to the online sessions on analog electronic circuits. In today's topic, we'll be dealing with voltage regulators. And in the previous topics, we have covered the basic fundamentals of the voltage regulators. And we discussed about the necessity of regulation. Okay, what is the basic necessity of going for regulation? The output voltage has to be kept constant irrespective of changes of the circuit conditions. So that is what very much essential for the electronic circuit to operate. Because we know that all the electronic circuits are going to operate with a constant DC voltage, which is known as the power supply signal or an operating DC voltage. Now, in order to produce that constant DC voltage, we will be using the power supply units. Power supply unit is going to comprise of various blocks coming in sequence one after the other, such as the power supply unit is going to deal with various steps or various blocks in sequence, such as transforming. The signal has to be transformed first, and rectification has to be done. That means signal has to be transformed, rectified, filtered, and then it should be regulated. So that means the last element, the last step in the power supply unit is going to be the voltage regulators. In the previous units, we discussed about rectifiers with filters. Now the output of the rectifier with filter holds good only when there are no changes in the input voltage, no changes in the load current, and obviously no changes in the temperature of the circuit. Under these ideal conditions, the output in the rectifier with filter is going to be the desired output. But practically what happens? All these three parameters are going to vary continuously. The input voltage coming from the AC mains is going to change continuously, because it cannot be always 230 volts AC. It will be varying, and the load resistance is also going to vary due to aging, and due to which what happens is like the load current changes and output voltage is also going to change. And other possibility is that temperature. We cannot stop the temperature to increase when the electronic device is going to operate. As the temperature increases, the output voltage is going to vary. But what is the constraint here? The electronic gadgets are going to operate with a constant DC voltages. So if an electronic circuit is operating with 5 volts, you have to apply only 5 volts whatsoever may be the other conditions. So in order to provide that constant perfect DC voltage with a constant output signal, we have to compulsorily use the voltage regulators at the output of the rectifier with filter. Okay. So now, what is the better method or a best method in the market which you will be having or we will be having to supply a constant DC voltage to the electronic gadget? It is obviously going to be the voltage regulators. Why? Because in the market we find variety of electronic gadgets. I mean variety, I mean is something like all the electronic gadgets are going to operate with different DC voltages. Now it is very much impractical to design that many infinite number of power supply units that we have in the market for the electronic gadgets. So therefore, the only option that is left over is every electronic gadget or a device or a circuit, electronic circuit or a gadget or a system should comprise of a power supply unit internally, so that the internal power supply unit is going to convert the input AC coming from AC mains into the suitable DC voltage for the underlying circuit. So that is only the best option or a best method that will be having. So that's the reason why we will be dealing with the power supply units. And up to rectifiers with filter, we have dealt already in the previous semester. Therefore, in the today's semester, therefore, in the current semester, we will be dealing with the last part of the power supply unit known as voltage regulators. Let us start working with this now. So we first of all deal with introduction to the voltage regulator. Just now we just made something here. Then what is voltage regulation? Voltage regulation is going to have two properties, line regulation and load regulation. There are two types of regulators known as series regulators and shunt type of regulators. And in the end market, that means the customer market, we normally going to get a IC version of the voltage regulators. 7800, 7900, like that IC versions we're going to get for the voltage regulators. Let us go further. So we are already exposed to use the mobile phones. What is a mobile phone? It is an electronic gadget. How can you say that it is electronic gadget? Because it is operated with a battery. So battery output is going to be what? DC voltage. Normally used as a supply voltage to the mobile phone circuitry. So therefore, batteries are often going to be the better choice, which is nothing but source of DC voltage to the portable electronic gadgets. Actually, what it is it is nothing but acting like a DC voltage source or DC power supply to the electronic gadget. That battery acts like a DC power supply to the electronic gadget to operate. There are many types of power supplies in the market. So all the power supplies objective is only one, to convert the AC signal into a suitable low DC signal for the electronic circuits or gadgets to operate. That is what the main objective. The objective of all the power supply units, even though there are different types of power supplies in the market, but objective is only one, to convert AC to a constant DC or a pure DC. A more reliable method of obtaining DC is to, just now we discussed, there are various methods which are known as most reliable method is going to be transforming, rectifying, filtering, and then regulating an AC input line voltage. So in order to get a perfect DC, a pure DC signal at the output, we will be having the power supply unit, which is once again further subdivided into various blocks. That means you have to compulsorily break down the bigger task into the smaller task in order to get the work done very comfortably. That's what we will be doing now. So that means the entire power supply unit is simply broken down into 4 sub blocks. The first block is transforming block, rectification block, filtering block, okay, and then regulating the signal. So these steps has been shown over here in this particular slide. So the first one is called as transforming. We are simply transforming the signal of high level, high value, high voltage to a low voltage. After transforming by using a transformer, we are connecting a rectifier, which is normally going to convert an AC signal into a DC signal, which is usually unidirectional signal. That DC, that pulsating DC is applied to the filter circuit to produce the average DC with little bit of distortion. Then next, this distortion is a result of what? Changes in the input voltage, changes in the load resistance, and changes in the overall temperature of the circuit. These are all the basic reasons of getting these fluctuations. Right. So therefore, we will be using a regulator circuit in order to get a constant DC output voltage, which is normally applied to the load. Now, what is the meaning of load to this particular power supply unit? The load is nothing but the electronic gadget. The load resistance is nothing but the input resistance of the electronic gadget, is known as the load resistance for us. The example of this is simply mobile phone. What is the load resistance to the charger, mobile charger? It is the internal resistance of the mobile phone is nothing but the load resistance of the mobile charger or adapter. Mobile charger can be called as an adapter. Adapter takes the input from the AC mains and supplies a constant DC voltage to the electronic gadget known as a mobile phone. That means the internal resistance of the mobile phone acts like a load resistance here for the power supply unit under discussion now. Okay, so that is what basically we have the entire block diagram of a power supply unit. Okay, so this is what the basic block diagram which we have already discussed, right? So therefore we just go ahead and we discussed about two types of rectifiers. We discussed all these various parts like transformers, step down transformers. We are going to use various capacities and rectifiers, different types of rectifiers we use like half-wave rectifier, full rectifier, bridge rectifier. All these things we'll be using, and filter circuits we have used known as the capacitor filter, inductor filter, LC filter, and a pi filter. So these are the filters we have used earlier in order to get the rectifier with filter output. Then now in today's session, we'll be dealing with this part of the power supply unit known as the regulator unit. Okay. So what is the purpose of the filter? So there will be a confusion between the purpose of filter and IC regulator in general. What is the purpose of filter? It is to reduce the fluctuations in the rectified output or to reduce the ripples. Ripples are the result of process of converting the pulsating DC to pure DC. These pulsations are not because of changes in the input voltage, not because of changes in the load resistance, not because of changes in the temperature of the circuit, right? So that means here it is just due to ripples. Now these things are known as ripples. This is known as pulsating DC. So these values, these particular waveforms, unidirectional waveforms which we got over here, known as ripples. Ripples are unwanted. Ripples are nothing but the AC portion of AC present in the output DC is known as a ripple, which is unwanted. So that means if these ripples are not going to get fully cancelled, you're normally going to get such a fluctuations in the output. So in order to get a pure DC, we normally use a filter circuits. So filter circuits, if it is really very good enough, then we will be getting a pure DC under the ideal conditions. What are the ideal conditions or generalized conditions? They are known as irrespective of, that means if you're not going to have changes in the input, not going to changes in the load current, load resistance, you are not going to have changes in the temperature, then we simply call that as an ideal condition. So under those ideal conditions, the output of filter is going to be a pure DC. But practically, which will never happen, right? Either one of these three parameters will be keep changing while the power supply unit is operating. So therefore, the output is not going to be pure DC when there is no regulator. So therefore, we use a regulator, which is normally used to produce constant DC output voltage by reducing the fluctuations at the input of the IC regulator. Okay, so this is what the main purpose and the task. And a simple regulator we have seen in the previous semester as well, known as Zener diode regulator. Even though Zener diode is going to operate at low voltages and low currents, therefore the power rating capacity of the Zener diode is also going to be bit lower. It's not going to be that higher. Therefore, Zener diode cannot be operated for a wide range of input frequencies. So Zener diode is meant to operate only at a low power, only at low power, maximum of 1.3 watts of power. That is the low power operated device is going to be a Zener diode device. So whenever we have a low power supplies to be generated, then we use the Zener diode regulators. But practically, we don't prefer the Zener diode regulator. The reason being is that it is going to operate for low voltage and low power operating devices. Apart from this, Zener diode is not compensated on the temperature. If temperature changes, then obviously Zener diode current is also going to change. Thereby, it changes the output voltage. So therefore, Zener diode is going to have a problem because it cannot operate for wider voltage ranges. Since it cannot operate for wider voltage ranges, it is normally known as a low power rated device. So because of these two various reasons, we just simply operate this device for very low voltages, not for very large voltages. Okay, and it can accept only very small fluctuations at the input, not a wider fluctuations at the input. And the next thing is Zener diode comes under the shunt voltage regulator circuit. How it is, we'll just discuss in a while on the Zener diode regulator circuits. Okay. Now there are two properties of regulators, or basically two categories which comes under the regulations. That is going to be called as a line regulation and a load regulation. What do you mean by line regulation? The output voltage should become constant irrespective of changes in the input voltage. That is called line regulation. What is load regulation? Exactly same definition applicable for the load. The purpose of load regulation is to maintain nearly the constant output voltage when the load varies. That means that if the output voltage is kept constant irrespective of changes of the load, then that type of regulation is known as load regulation. If the output voltage is kept constant irrespective of changes in the input voltage, then that type of regulation is known as the line regulation. Very important properties that we have to really undergo. Okay, so there are two categories of regulations, which is line regulation and a load regulation. Very important for the examination point of view. Then pictorially, how we can really show the regulation here. See here, input is varying. Input is varying. Even though the input is varying, but the output is going to be kept constant. Say I've increased the input, but still output is constant. Now I decrease the input. I decrease the input with respect to this. If you see, output still is going to be constant. That means output has become constant irrespective of the changes in the input signal. So this type of regulation is known as simply line regulation. Line means what? Input line is known as line regulation. Then second concept is something like load regulation. So before that, let us go with the basic mathematical equation to represent the line regulation. So line regulation is going to deal changes in the output voltage with respect to changes in the input voltage. That is what called a line regulation. So in a more elaborate manner, we can write line regulation formula as delta V out by delta V. What is delta? Delta stands for change in output voltage with respect to output voltage when there is no change by the change in input voltage. Is nothing but the basic formula for the voltage regulation. If you want percentage, we simply multiply it by 100. The next one is load regulation. Load regulation means what? RL is going to vary due to aging. Okay, usually RL is normally going to vary, or due to temperature of the atmosphere, RL is also going to vary. So therefore, if RL changes, output should not change. Even if RL changes, the output voltage should not change. Okay, because this voltage is normally going to drive the entire electronic gadget or an electronic circuit. So this voltage has to drive the electronic circuit. So therefore, this voltage value should not change, even though the RL changes. So this type of regulation is known as the load regulation. That means output voltage is kept constant irrespective of changes in the load, is simply known as the load regulation. That means independently we'll be having, even though independently we're going to have line regulation and road regulation, practically what happens? These two will be coming in parallel. In fact, three also going to come in parallel. That is called temperature compensation. So temperature compensation part we don't have in the syllabus. So therefore, we are just not discussing about temperature compensation part of the regulation part. Okay. Now let us move on to the next one. What is the mathematical equation of the load regulation? It is represented by output at no load minus output at full load by output at full load. That means V no load minus V full load by V full load into 100 is basically the formula for voltage load regulation. Yes, that means at no load you can simply observe here we will be achieving or we will be getting the maximum voltage. When there is load, then the voltage is going to come down. The general practice is that, because voltage across an open circuit is going to be maximum. At no load means what? Open circuit. At open circuit we get a maximum voltage. When you connect some resistor over there, definitely as the resistor is going to draw some current, then the voltage is going to decrease. So the formula for voltage load regulation is going to be V no load minus V full load by V full load. Very useful formula and very important formula for us to write in the examination. The next one is types of the regulators. There are two different types of regulators we discussed just now. That is known as series regulator and a shunt regulator. Now, how can I say it is series regulator? How can I say other one is shunt regulator? Just by seeing the control element. The control element in the series regulator will be coming in series with the load. Coming to the shunt regulator, the control element is going to come in shunt to the load resistance. So these two are the basic differences between the series regulator and a shunt regulator. The heart of the series regulator is going to be the control element. Obviously, heart of the shunt regulator is also going to be the control element. Therefore, I can call this block, series regulator block, usually more technically, I can say it as a control element. If control element is in series to the load, it is called as a series regulator. If the control element is in shunt to the load, it is called as a shunt regulator for us. So this is what the constructional feature of the regulator. So these two types of regulators comes under the linear type of the regulators. So altogether we have four different types of regulators. Based on the types of the regulators, you're going to have different types of the power supply units as well. So as we are dealing with the regulators chapter, regulators topic, we deal with different types of regulators like linear regulators, step down type of regulator, step up type of regulator, and switching type of the regulators. In the syllabus, we have the linear regulators. So under linear regulators, we're going to have two types called as series regulator and a shunt regulators. We deal with these two now. Okay. So before we go further into the circuit diagram, first of all, let us try to discuss about the block diagram of a series regulator. See here, the control element is coming in series to the load. Actually, load has to be there here. See this gray color box, this entire gray color box is going to comprising of the series regulator block diagram. And after this gray color, you're going to have you should have the load resistance. Okay, because the output of this circuit, V out, is connected to the electronic circuit, electronic gadget. So that means the internal resistance, the input resistance of the electronic gadget that you're going to connect to the output of this regulator is known as the output resistance of this regulator, obviously. That is called load resistance of the regulator. So various blocks are important here. That is, one block is nothing but control element. Other important block is reference element or reference voltage. Then next one is going to be error detector known as comparator and a sampling circuit. Okay. Now how this circuit is going to operate to control the output voltage. Now what is the objective here? The output voltage has to be kept constant. Say for example, imagine that the output voltage is going to increase. Output voltage is going to increase. When the output voltage increases, it is going to draw, the sample circuit is going to draw, say, more current, and this change in current is applied to the comparator circuit, and the comparator is going to compare the change in the circuit current with respect to the reference voltage applied. It may be a current, the comparator may compare voltages or currents. That's not an issue as far as block diagram is concerned. Now the voltage, reference voltage is going to be nothing but the fixed voltage that you want the output voltage to come as whatever you really look for. Say we want Vout is equal to 5 volts, then reference voltage is always going to be equal to 5 volts. If Vout we want going to be 3 volts exactly, then the reference voltage will be equal to 3 volts. If you want output voltage as 4.5 volts, then the reference voltage is also going to be equal to 4.5 volts. Then the comparator output is known as the control signal applied to the control unit. Now this control signal is going to control the output voltage. That means due to changes in the circuit, if output voltage increases, then sample circuit is going to draw more current. This particular information is applied to the comparator. Comparator is going to give a more control signal. So in doing so, what happens is that the control, because of this control unit is going to draw more current to the ground. Thereby, it allows very less current to flow through the Vout. That means comparatively, based on the amount of increase in voltage, that much amount of decrease in current will be coming as output of the control unit. So control unit is going to produce less current if the Vout is going to increase. So this less current is normally going to flow through the load resistance. Don't confuse that the current is going to take this path. No. So if you take sample as a voltage, all right. So if output voltage has been sampled, then it is not going to draw the current. The entire current flows to the load resistance. So if you decrease the current flowing through the load, which is proportional to the increase in the output voltage, then the output voltage is once again set back to the original value, which is equal to the reference voltage. So thereby we can compensate the output voltage. That is what the basic operation of the circuit. Now what is the practical circuit of the transistor series regulator or transistorized series regulator or a simple voltage series regulator? So this is what the circuit which we really think of, right? Now, whatever components we have it here, these components has to be compared with respect to the components which are there in the block diagram. So block diagram is going to comprise of the information in terms of blocks. It comprises the basic information of the circuit in terms of blocks. When it comes to circuit, we are dealing with the wires, wire connections. Therefore, it is not going to be like a block 100% sure. Yes or no? So therefore, let us try to compare these two right now. Okay. So the first important element in the entire regulator is simply going to be the control element. Transistor Q1 can be called as a control element, and R can be called as a sampling network. VZ can be called as a reference voltage. The block VZ is nothing but reference voltage block. This R is nothing but the sampling network. And this pointer, this intersection point of R, Zener diode and base of transistor, this point is known as the comparator point. And the signal comes out of this node towards the control element is known as the control signal. Now, based on this control signal, what we normally do is that the output voltage is simply going to get simply controlled. Okay. So let us try to look into this. Now, how this is going to vary? Let us suppose because of the input voltage, some current is flowing. This current is simply flowing through the transistor Q1 through the load resistance R in this direction. That means from this point to the ground. So current flows from higher potential, lower potential, therefore higher potential to lower potential. Therefore, this terminal is positive. This is negative. All right. So coming to the Zener diode is going to be a non-conventional diode. In the case of conventional diode, this bar is nothing but negative. This arrow is nothing but positive. That is conventional diode. In the non-conventional diode, this can be treated. This can be treated as a non-conventional diode, and hence what we can write the polarities as reverse of the conventional diode. That means this is going to be taken as, this bar is taken as positive and arrow is taken as negative, because the Zener diode is going to operate only in the reverse bias condition, unlike the conventional diode which operates only in the forward bias condition. So since it is operating in reverse bias condition, it is simply going to flow opposite. All right. So therefore, we're going to have this. Right. So now if you apply KVL to this loop, what equation you can write? This is plus minus over here. When you come from ground and go like this in this part, once again start from ground, once again come to the ground. That is called a loop. So this is minus plus, raise in potential is positive for me, drop in potential is negative for me. So it is raise in potential V0. What is this now? This is going to be plus minus, raise in potential plus VBE, drop in potential minus V0. So that is what the KVL equation which we are going to get. Okay, let us go to the equation further. So this is nothing but V0 plus VBE is equal to VZ is the equation which we have got from the diagram, earlier diagram. See this diagram, V0 plus VBE minus VZ. The polarities are very important. Polarities are going to play a vital role in the KVL equations. So if you miss the polarities, or if you go with a wrong convention in the polarities, your equation will go wrong. And finally, you cannot explain the operation of the series voltage regulator by using the basic equation of the series voltage regulators. So so after you apply KVL in the output loop, we've got something like, V0 plus VB is equal to VZ. So V0, if I take on the right hand side, okay, I'll be getting VB equal to VZ minus V0. Now, what is it you can understand from this equation? If V0 increases because of any one reason, what happens to VBE? What happens to VBE? That is an important point of discussion. What happens to VBE? VBE is going to decrease. Why? Because VZ is constant. If V0 is increased, fixed value minus constant value. Sorry, fixed value minus increasing value. Therefore, VBE is going to simply decrease. If VBE decreases, what happens? V0 has increased. Then the VBE is going to decrease. So the transistor is going to draw very less current through this. Because VBE is less, it is going to draw less current. Because if VBE decreases, the transistor becomes less forward biased. As transistor is less forward biased, it is going to draw less current. Therefore, it is going to allow that less current to flow through the RL. Thereby, V0 is going to decrease. That means here what happens is the amount of increase in V0 is compensated by decrease in the current flowing through the transistor Q1, such that the resultant output voltage is going to become constant or fixed. Now, all these things are happening in a fraction of second, less than nanoseconds time period. So therefore, we are not able to notice that the circuit is making that many changes or toggling between that many states. The circuit is toggling between many states here, but we are unable to recognize that toggle in the output because of the illusion of the human eye. Okay. Well, so this is what the basic thing which we can able to write about on the operation of the device. If V naught decreases, what you will do? If V naught increases, VB decreases. If VB decreases, the transistor allows less current to flow. So proportionate to what happens, V naught once again going to decrease. Proportionate to V naught, current through transistor decreases, VB decreases, current through transistor decreases, and hence the load current decreases and V naught decreases. It will once again brought back to the previous value. If V naught is going to decrease, VBE increases. If VB increases, current flowing through that is also going to increase. Once again, the output voltage is going to set back to the previous reference voltage. So like that, we normally going to have the compensation brought in the output voltage, right? So this is what the basic operation of a transistor series type of the regulator. The next regulator is going to be shunt regulator circuit. Shunt regulator circuit is something like if the control element is coming in shunt to the load resistance RL, then we simply call it as a shunt voltage regulator circuit. See here, this current, input current is divided into ISH and IL. That is the reason why I can call it as a shunt control element, shunt regulator circuit. And other elements are going to be same, like sampling circuit, comparator circuit, reference voltage, and output of comparator is given to the control element as a control signal. All these are normally going to remain same. Only thing is that the input current I is going to get divided into ISH and IL. So the sampling circuit is not drawing any current because we are going to employ the voltage sampling. If you employ voltage sampling, it is not going to draw any current from the output lines. So this is what the basic thing which we can really have. Okay. All right. So here, how can we explain the operation of this shunt voltage regulator? Imagine that if V naught increases, if V naught is going to increase, sampling voltage is going to increase. Then what happens? Control signal is going to increase. When the control signal increases, the control element is going to draw more current. Output voltage has increased. Sampling circuit has taken the more voltage. It has taken the more voltage than the threshold, and the control signal increases. Because of this, ISH flowing through the control element is going to increase. This ISH flowing through this will be coming to the ground finally. Therefore, the amount of current that will flow to the IL is going to decrease. Because what is the supply current? I is equal to ISH plus IL. So here IS has increased. Therefore, IL has to decrease. Now, how much is the decrease in IL? It depends on the increase in V naught. The amount of increase in V naught is compensated by the amount of decrease in IL current. Thereby, we can just simply achieve a constant DC output voltage. So this is what we can have. Now, what is the input here? The input we give from the output of the rectifier with filter circuit. Okay. Now, what is a practical circuit? The practical circuit, something looks like this. The control element known as transistor will be coming in shunt to the load resistance. This is the main concept. Okay. Now, the comparator is connected to the base of the transistor and to the line. Okay. Now, using this particular circuit, we normally going to get the regulation. Right. Now, you can easily understand the operation of this regulation circuit. If load current, if V naught is going to increase, if V naught is going to increase, what will happen now? The IC is going to increase. That means it is going to draw more current. So therefore, as it draws most current, the input current will be once again flowing through the more current will be flowing through the control element, and thereby the output voltage is going to decrease. So this is the basic logic which we can simply incorporate. So why we call this as a shunt regulator? Because transistor is connected in shunt to the load, we simply call it as a shunt regulator circuit. right? So this is what the basic operation that we can just have it over here. What happens if RL decreases? If RL is going to decrease, what will happen? This transistor is going to get a less driving current. If it is going to get a less driving current, it will be, you know, it will draw more current. Okay, as it is not going to draw more current will simply go through this. Thereby, the output voltage is going to increase. If output voltage decreases, then what happens? Something like RL decreases. If RL decreases, we should once again increase the output voltage by adjusting the current flowing through the control element known as a transistor. So like this, we simply compensate for the changes in the output voltage by using the shunt control element. Next one is that the governing output equations of this particular circuit. So what are the governing equations? This is nothing but the VL, which is nothing but the load voltage. Okay, can be called as V0 is equal to, now just simply apply KVL in the output loop. So when you apply KVL in the output loop, this is going to be plus minus here. Okay. So therefore, I can say if at all you wanted to include VZ also, then your loop should be something like this. It's going to be VL, then come to the top, VZ, VBE, ground. So like this, you have to show ground has to be drawn here. It is not drawn here. It has to be drawn. So in that case, what is the KVL you can write? V resistor potential VL, then minus VZ minus VBE equal to 0. So that is the equation we get. So V0 minus VZ minus VB equal to 0. Therefore, I can write V0 is equal to VZ plus VBE. Okay. So what happens here is something like V0 is constant if VZ and VB are kept constant. Okay. Thereby, V0 is going to become independent of the changes in the line voltage and the load current. Okay. So this is what the basic equations of the output voltage that we can simply go into consider. Okay. The last part of the story is going to be IC voltage regulators. In the market, we normally going to get the voltage regulators as ICs. Okay, such as typical 7800 series, normally used for positive voltages, and 7900 used for the negative voltages. You know, for the voltage regulators, we normally buy in the market as the IC voltage regulators, right? But coming to the simple undergoing transistor version, just now we discussed. In the market, we find the IC version of the IC regulators. Okay. See, internally, the IC regulator is going to contain all these various sub-blocks. What are the various sub-blocks it is going to contain? It is going to have a reference source, comparator circuit, control device, overload protection device. Overload protection we have not seen in our discussion just now. So we have seen a reference voltage. We got the reference voltage from the Zener diode. Comparator circuit we have seen. We have seen the control element, that is by transistor Q. Overload protection we have not seen, that is not incorporated in the basic practical circuit diagram. Okay. Usually these IC voltage regulators are normally going to come up with 3 terminal devices that provides either positive or negative output voltages that can be either fixed or adjustable voltage regulators. So the pictorial representation of the regulators is going to be like this. Okay. We'll be getting like this pictorially. 3 terminals will be taken out from the regulator. So one is going to be for the positive input, positive output. Next one is going to be the ground. So like this, 3 things are going to be there. Fixed positive voltage regulator is going to be like this, which is 7800 series we're going to have. Okay. So like this, we're normally going to get various ICs with the ratings given as something like this. Output voltage of 7801 is going to be plus 5 volts. Minimum voltage is going to be plus 7.3 voltages. So all these are the various ratings of this particular types of the IC voltage regulators. Okay. So with this, we have completed the discussion on the voltage regulators, which is going to be the last block in the power supply unit. Okay. So put together transformer, rectifier with filter, and a regulator. We normally going to have a power supply unit. Using power supply unit, we normally going to provide a constant DC voltage to the output circuit. Okay. Thank you very much for the today's session now. Okay. So this IC regulator part is not there in the syllabus. So anyway, if at all it is given, it is asked in the applications part, you can just simply name the things over here, and you can just draw the diagram here like this with 1700 series, 7800 series, and you can just proceed. Okay. Thank you very much for the today's session. In the next session, what we'll do is we'll start unit number 4. Okay. That is basically going to comprising of the power amplifiers or large signal amplifiers. Thank you very much for the today's session.